You are now listening to the Yeshiva League Pass Tip-Off.
Welcome back. Ari, I'm starting to lose count. What episode is this?
I know. I don't know if I could do the numbers, but it's number 9.
Number
I
9.
think.
Wow, that's
Wait.
huge. It's huge for a couple reasons.
By the way, now I'm not sure. It may be 10.
It's not. It's 9. I was just
Keep going.
testing
I'm
you.
just going to quickly look on our YouTube channel.
Well, while you look, I'm going to tell you why 9 is a big episode. Number 1, because it's the one right before 10. And number 2, because our guest is kind of big.
Interestingly enough, he was the 9th pick in the 2003 NBA draft.
Look at. Are you sure about that?
Yes, I'm
Please don't
pretty
mess this up.
positive, certain. I'm checking.
Okay,
Hold on, let me get our PR staff on that. Guys, get on
air.
Okay, I'm on.
We've been on air for 30 seconds.
Yep.
Usually,
Pick number
already
9.
2 facts that you had to check.
Pick number 9 in the 2003 NBA draft. Number 1 was.
I believe this fella out of Akron, Ohio, named LeBron James.
Correct. Good job.
Wow. So Ari,
as you can tell, we have a lot of preparation for our shows.
Like 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon or whatever. This is the closest that you and I are ever going to get to LeBron James tonight. That's it.
Yeah, most likely. Unless we're like stalking him outside his house and we get arrested, but probably not.
Anyway, I don't know anything about that. Ari and I are not associated with each other in any way except for this program.
No.
So if the FBI is listening, you know who to come after.
Exactly.
So,
and I'll give you my number when I talk about the Lions and Ballers Basketball Academy. But let's talk about our first sponsor.
what a great segue. You're getting good at this. Yes. 9 episodes in, let me tell you.
I'm good.
So there it is, folks. It is the Trio Academy. Is that what it is? Are they an academy? Essentially, and you got to look into this. If you are either a student who's about to enter college or a parent of a student who enters college, I think a couple of those listen to this program. But they have this amazing, amazing program. And basically, it allows you to earn your college degree in like a year and a half for as little as $10,000.
Yeah.
It's
how much? How much was it?
As little as $10,000, I think.
But could you imagine getting a college degree in the time frame of a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it is, as opposed to 4, 5, 6, 7 years, as it takes many people like yourself, to be able to get a degree in that short a time for that little amount of money? That's something that I'd be.
And not only that, but it's like a lot of these programs, you got to check it out at trio.academy, it's written right on the screen, trio.academy. But a lot of these programs are feeder programs into graduate schools.
Yes.
Into never go to school again schools. It really is a great program. Here's what you got to do. You got to get on the website. You got to contact them, and you got to tell them you heard about it on this show.
Yeshiva League Pass. Mention them.
Mention them.
Our tip-off show, the Yeshiva League Pass. You will get a nice little discount. Really,
discount. That's the point here. Up. That's what we're doing. That's the whole deal. And we have another sponsor. Folks may have heard of them. They're getting big. It's called the Lions Den. It's basically like Daniel. They throw you into a pit filled with lions. And
wait, who's Daniel?
You don't. I believe our. Oh, geez.
Is Daniel some Torah reference?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
You'd think that you'd be the one making the Torah references in a summer environment, but nope. It's me today. So you know what they say? You don't have to be the fastest person when you're thrown in the den with the lions. Just faster than the slowest person.
By the way, why does our internet always go out during the Lions Den segment? Why are we always?
Mine's fine.
Okay.
I got no problems.
Okay,
I got no problems.
Maybe it's mine, but
no. In all seriousness, check out the Lions Den. All right, this is where you give out your phone number, right? Is that what happened?
Yeah. Well, that's the Ballers Basketball Academy. But yes, the Lions Den. If you're looking for an after-school activity, which who isn't these days, for children to train, to work on their basketball skills, and just really have some freedom, a good time to get out there, improve their self-confidence, improve teamwork, and to do what Jay never did, make that basketball team. Come check us out at the Lions.
That's also incorrect. I made every basketball team I ever tried out for.
Okay, that's true.
I also didn't try
pay-per-pay leagues are the best. You pay, you make a team. That's great. But that brings us to our next guest, Ballers Basketball Academy. If you're looking to pay,
they're a sponsor. Yes.
Right. Oh, right. Exactly.
They're not a guest.
Their co-host is a guest. Whatever. So yes, if you're looking at the end of the summer,
by the second, by the way,
August 23rd to 26th of 2021, this summer, coming to you live from the Hafter Gymnasiums. If you are going into 1st through 8th grade and you're looking to get yourself ready for the upcoming seasons or just improve your basketball skills and drills, Come there, Ballers Basketball Academy.
Skills and drills. How long did you work on that one for?
And drills. Hall of Famers, non-Hall of Famers, NBA players, non-NBA players, EuroLeague stars. We're going to have quite a guest list of coaches who are going to be there and really going to help you develop your game. There's going to be skills, drills, games, leagues, trophies, three-point shootouts, dunk contests. It's going to be awesome. Ballers Basketball Academy, August 23rd to 26th. Yeah, of course. We lower the baskets. And just call us at 917-837-8643 in the Lions Den and Ballers Basketball Academy.
I hope everyone's selling insurance, extended warranties, and vacuum cleaners is listening right now.
That's why I was getting those phone calls.
Yes, correct. There you have
Check it out.
Sponsors. Ari and I are going to shut up because we know that you are absolutely sick of hearing us already, and we just started. It is time.
The big man.
At Forward. We're bringing him in. Here he is. What'd you say?
From, a college?
Absolutely not.
Georgetown University.
Of course, I knew that. At Forward from Georgetown University. Here he is, 6'8", and towering over at Yeshiva University right now. It is assistant coach Mike Sweetney. Mike, welcome to the show. Great to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate the invite. I'm excited.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Mike went to Frisch for high school, and no, he didn't.
And he didn't win the championship, but that's in high school. That's ironic.
Did not have the same background as our last couple guests, but is running in the same circles as many of them today. Mike, tell us a little bit about your background growing up, where you're from. For those who don't know, kind of give us the 411.
All right. Obviously, my name is Mike Sweetney. I'm from Oxon Hill, Maryland. It's a little city outside of it's in Prince George's County. I don't know if you guys saw the documentary that Kevin Durant just had. It's called In the Water. He was talking about all the NBA players that made it for PG County. I was a part of that documentary. So that's where I'm from the same hometown as Kevin Durant. I always tell people that, so that makes it a lot easier. But so yeah.
Is that the documentary that just won a Grammy?
Documentaries don't win Grammys.
Not Grammy. What's the word? Oscar? Whatever. They won something.
It might. I don't know. It's a good question.
Mike, I actually work for Showtime. I actually work for Showtime Sports, so I help promote that documentary. So you're welcome.
Oh wow! Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes. It did not win a Grammy though. And that
Grammy's music, right?
Yeah, it is. That'll go down. All
right, Mike. Just don't. I'll just talk sports. If I talk music or anything else, just
top 10 list of dumbest comments you've ever made. Congratulations.
There are a lot. All right, go ahead. Sorry about that, Mike.
Nah, it's all good. From Oxon Hill, Maryland. Started playing basketball at the age of 8. Father introduced me to the game of basketball, and pretty much been just playing from the age of 8 till 35. Went to Oxon Hill High School, public high school in Prince George's County, Maryland. Same thing. And from there, I was lucky to do something different. Verbally committed to Georgetown University after my freshman year of high school.
So you knew right away.
Yes, after my freshman year in high school, the Georgetown came. It was my first visit, first college, interaction, and I knew right away that's where I was going. They used the cheat code. They brought Patrick Ewing in, so I couldn't say no to him. Well,
they're still doing that now, Mike. They're doing that now.
I'm sure. So after my freshman year, I kind of knew, where I was going, and I went to Georgetown and spent 3 years there. And then, luckily, I worked hard enough to be the 9th pick of the 2000 NBA draft.
Okay, we're gonna have to stop you there because we can't skip over your first 20 years of your life without some questions. So let me ask you a question. First of all, so obviously you said you started playing at the age of 8 years old. When did you realize that you were physically ahead of your peers, and maybe the NBA or actually first college was a possibility? Like, when did that all come together to know you had something special?
Weirdly, it didn't really hit me until like maybe 8th grade. Wow. I started playing young, but all the teams I was playing on, I didn't get playing time. Wow. I was like the last person on the bench when I'm, playing minutes here and there. And what happened was I had a coach on another team that I've always knew, and it was an age younger. And he said, "Hey, why don't you come play for my team?" I'm like, for what? He was like, "Look, you have this potential that I see in you that nobody else sees, and you shouldn't be sitting on the bench. At least come with us and play, and at least you can get some playing time. It's the age down. Just come play, get your confidence up." I was like, all right, cool. We went to Orlando.
You heard the words
Florida.
Playing time. You were like, I'm in.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I'm sitting on the bench, so why not? So we went to Orlando, Florida for a tournament like a week later, and averaging like 20-some points and was like the MVP of that tournament. So I went from like not playing to like confidence like through the roof.
So who was this coach? Was this Phil Jackson who found you early?
Guy named Trevor Brown. Actually, Trevor Brown is Kevin Durant and Michael Beasley's. Who else you probably know? I'll just say those two: Michael Beasley and Kevin Durant's old high school coach.
Oh,
so
wow.
he has a big program back in Maryland, private school that he has, National Christian Academy, and so he kind of sees talent. I mean, Coach Will Barton from the Nuggets, so he has a lot of players that's been in and out the league. So he kind of saw something that I didn't even see it myself. So I'm very grateful.
Were you always physically? I mean, for those that don't know, you're 6'8". We announced in the intro. Were you? When did you start getting bigger than everybody else?
I was always bigger. I just I was always like, had that height over people. It's just just didn't know how to use it. I would say I didn't know how to use my size. I wasn't, didn't really just have all the tools to really get it going. Right. And I think once I got to high school, my freshman year, I went from 6'3" to 6'8" in that year span.
Yeah, that seems to be a recurring theme with our guests. They have that big growth spurts. Jay's still waiting for his. He's trying to get to 5'11".
It's not too late. It's not.
Of course not.
I think that helped me a lot to go from 6'3" to 6'8". Actually, for a big man to be 6'3" and then go to 6'8" it was huge for me.
Right. When you were playing, and I 100% remember you in Georgetown and then the NBA, but when you were playing, I think you were always a classic back to the basket big man, right? You weren't like the way they are, everyone has to shoot 3-pointers. The game has evolved, obviously, but was your meat and potatoes was post up and using your quick footwork to get many of your points?
Yeah, I mean, I was a back to the basket guy. I love physical contact, rebound, mix it up in the paint. That's pretty much what it was last time. I mean, when I was growing up, I'm not pretty much telling my age, everybody, but like, what it is now, where the power forward, the center shooting threes.
Right.
I don't think I've ever shot a three unless it was like a shot clock or something in my career.
If you were 6'6" or above, you weren't allowed to back in the NBA.
It wasn't. I wasn't. So it was crazy. So it's just, that's all it was, back to the basket and, playing against my father and older brother growing up and older, they used to always play the older guys and I was getting beat up and that's just made me tough a little bit. Right.
What was, when you were playing, you always thought Georgetown was a dream school? I mean, I know you said they were the first to offer you, but was that, I know it's in Washington, you're from Maryland. Was it always a school you wanted to go to, or were you looking at a lot of different schools before you decided on that?
It was like the only school I wanted to go to, because around that time, Georgetown was kind of relevant. It was still off the Allen Iverson. He had just left now, a couple years before me. So they would still kind of have some, a power to their name. And what happened was Coach Trevor Brown, again, he took us all to a Georgetown game. He was playing Syracuse. And the atmosphere, because obviously, so people don't know, Georgetown and Syracuse are huge rivals.
Huge, Big East days.
They're one of their biggest rivals. And so he took us to a Georgetown-Syracuse game, and the atmosphere was like crazy. And that was like my first ever professional college game I ever went to in my life. So just seeing it, I was like, man, I want to be a part of this one day. Not, every kid just dreams that anything was going to actually be true. And one of my first recruiters when I was coming out of high school was John Thompson, right before he retired. And it was just like,
oh, is this a senior? Senior was
senior.
Oh,
senior.
Okay.
He recruited me, and then once he recruited me and I committed, he retired. But
he's like, I'm going to go out like this. I'm getting Mike Sweetney. He's going to be a lottery pick one day, and John Jr., it's in your hands now.
Yeah. So that's how it was. It was crazy. So so he kind of recruited me and retired, but it was different. I think that's when I kind of knew when I went to that basketball game. I was like, I want to be on the stage one day.
Right.
I didn't think it was true, but it came true one day. So it was amazing.
Right. One other guest we've had earlier who we know is, back in the Baltimore days was Tamir Goodman, the Jewish Jordan, as he was referred to back in the day. So I know you guys had have a relationship. You guys are good friends, and you also competed in some All-Star games together. Do you, from the perspective of seeing Tamir, was he as good as you thought when you heard about and all the hype? Did he match up to that when seeing him on the court and playing his game?
So I'm going to tell you a funny story. So like back where we're from and back in Maryland, D.C. area, we don't care who your name is, what you got going on, how much hype. We always got this model like, show me. Because like it's very competitive. Like it's so much, as you see, you Google it, right. It's so many NBA college players that's come out of our town. I think we're like ranked number 1 in the country as far as like college NBA players. So it's one of we got like a hidden gem. So we heard all the buzz about Tamir, but it was one of those things like, all right, prove it. So we had an all-star high school game, all for seniors. We were playing the DC All-Stars versus the National All-Stars. So that week was like about 7 days before that, we all had to practice. So we was like, all right, we want to see what this dude is about. And we get out there, man, and it was like, whoa. Because we was like, okay, just being honest, like, we didn't know the competition we was playing against. We just didn't know.
Right.
And
putting the numbers doesn't mean anything. It's about
so we didn't know. We was like, all right, you're 45 minutes away from us. You ain't playing against us, so we didn't know. And that first practice, we was like, yeah, the hype is real. So he dominated. I mean, it was in that high school thing. I think it was like 3 or 4 NBA players that played, and yeah, he dominated. And that's when we kind of knew, like, wow, this dude is special. Right. And he was just like, he had, like, obviously you guys knew he can shoot and dribble, but I think people don't realize how great his court vision was. I mean, he was excellent passer.
They said he, like, thought 3 steps ahead.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was, sometimes I love playing with him because, like, it was times where I was running, next thing you know, the ball was like in my hands. I'm like, how did he make this pass?
Right.
And
so that's actually what someone you know very well, Ryan Terrell, said a couple episodes ago. He was talking about Nico Mannion. He said, we play, I forget the words was, but he was talking about how certain players, what did he say? Mm-hmm.
Pass you open.
Right. They pass you open. They pass the ball. You don't think you're open, but the ball finds you and you're wide open. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah,
you're talking about
that's how it was. Yeah, and he was just amazing talent. Like, he was an amazing talent. And I always tell people this, like, if it wasn't for his injuries, and obviously at the time, you guys know this story, like, people wasn't really prepared,
right?
For him not playing on the staff with nobody handling well. So it was all that stuff, mixed in, probably messed with his head with that and the injuries. I said, well, other than that, I mean, I think he would have been an NBA player.
Wow.
By far.
Wow.
I'm not just saying it because he's my friend. I'm saying it because, like, his talent level was different.
Right. So you were also, I know another from Baltimore is Carmelo Anthony. So I know you were in the same draft. So you probably played against him in the Baltimore days. I'm sure a ton of ball against him as well.
Yeah, I didn't run into Melo until his freshman year at Syracuse, and I was a junior at Georgetown, and we matched up against each other 3 times, and that was an epic battle. And I was like, wow, who is that? I didn't know who he was. I mean, I heard about him coming in, but I never played against him. You hear about it, and I was like, whoa, this dude is on another level. He was like literally a professional scorer. I mean, it was crazy to watch a freshman.
20 years later, he still is.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm not surprised by anything he's doing right now, because it was like he's ahead of his time. It was amazing to watch him.
Wow, that's unbelievable. So you're right. Baltimore really is a hotbed of hoops that you might not realize, but obviously a lot of greats came out of it. So you go to Georgetown, you're there 3 years, and obviously your junior year, you decide at the end of your junior year to enter the NBA draft. So for everyone who's tuning in, you were the number 9 pick in the NBA draft. LeBron James was number 1 in that. It's one of the greatest all-time drafts. I mean, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. I mean, the names there go on and on. So tell us about the workouts in getting ready for the NBA draft. Is it like you're at a meet mark, just have to be at your best every game? I mean, every tryout, every practice. What's that process like? And then when did you know that you were potentially a lottery pick?
So for me going in, I don't know if it's still that way now, but I wasn't sure if I was gonna be a lottery pick, so I didn't sign with an agent. So when you don't sign with an agent, your workouts are kind of like by yourself. So I just did all individual workouts with the teams, which is, I'd probably rather work out with somebody, because when you by yourself in a workout for an hour, right, and their mission is to, like, work you hard until they kill you, it's yeah, and you'll have nobody to get, sometimes you're working out with people while they're going, you can at least get a minute or 2 seconds. It was none of that. And it was brutal. I remember I had the Miami workout. I can't explain to you how crazy, insane that, because Pat Riley is just a conditioning, like, freak when it comes to it. So, like, I mean, I was done at every whatever, but I did very well in all my workouts. And I remember Washington was at 10. They said they're taking me. Seattle was at 13. They said, if you're there, we're taking you. So I had to make my third. So I knew like I wasn't going to slip.
If they're being honest, you felt pretty good draft night, at least knowing, as far as, you could fall. I mean, you can go to number 10 or 13 is amazing. Washington must have been a dream as a hometown, kid in Baltimore. Yeah. That, which could also bring some problems as well. It's not always easy playing in your backyard. Mm-hmm. So tell us about all you get that night. Were you at the draft?
So I was at the draft in the green room, and it was crazy. I tell the story to people. So I knew that Wizards were taking 10 and Seattle was going to 13. They were taking me. So after the 8th pick happened, I think it was TJ Ford. And I was like excited, like, wow, I'm going home to Washington. Because the Knicks were picking 9. I'm like, they have 5 people in my position. They're not taking me. Never worked out for them. I had like a 20-second meeting with them where they asked me like a weird question, like if it was somebody, I think it was like if an animal and something was hanging off the cliff, who would you save? I was like, huh? I didn't understand the question. And I gave my answer. I was like, all right, thank you for the meeting. And they walked away. So I was like, what was this? And so I'm like, oh, they drafted me.
They already knew they were taking you. They just figured they were going to play with you.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. And so it was crazy. And so it like really messed my head up. I was like, what was that? And then after that happened, you know, we just sitting at the draft table and my agent gets a phone call. He's like, hey, the Knicks are taking you at 9. I'm like, what? He's like, you know, they're taking you, but act surprised. So I'm like, there's so many emotions. I'm like,
you have to be an actor now also.
Yeah, I got to be an actor. So I got to like, call my name like, oh, me, really? And then cry and do all that stuff. I'm like, what is, but I'm like, my emotions are like excited because this is my dream come true. NBA player, you know, lottery.
Who calls you from the Knicks to tell you, you know, that first phone call to introduce you to the team?
So no, they were there. Most of them were there.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of like, once they, because I was in the Garden. So what happened was they drafted me and did my whole interviews, and I kind of like, they swept me away. And I went upstairs to the like this room with everybody, Dolan, management. It was like very intimidating. It was like you walking in, like every important person on the staff was just sitting there, like, wow.
Yeah, and you're 20. You're not.
Yeah, I'm 20 years old. Yeah, it's like what is like. It was a lot of emotions, and so I was just like, and for me, I was confused. Like, why did they draft me? They got 5 people in my position, not going to play. And I was kind of like happy but sad, so, you know, slash sad because I wanted to be in Washington or Seattle where I knew I was going to play. And I just knew I was going into a situation where it was going to be, you know, pretty much hard to do anything.
Who was ahead of you on the Knicks then? Like, who was a power forward?
They had Antonio McDyess, Kurt Thomas, Clarence Weatherspoon. I'm missing 2 people because I was like 6.
Wow.
Wow, this is driving me crazy, you know, because I know. Wow, this is really bothering me. It's going to come back too.
It will come back. Don't worry.
Yeah, but
so the draft was at the Garden that night. So were the reactions boos, cheers, a little of everything?
So weirdly, I just knew. I was like, it was a running joke, like, whoever gets picked by the Knicks, you know, you're going to get booed. And when my agent told me that, I was like, this is about to get bad. I'm about to get booed. And it was weird when they called my name, it was cheers. I was like, wow. But I think when they said Georgetown, the whole Patrick Ewing thing, they probably gave me a slack. So I think Patrick kind of saved me a little bit. but yeah, it was a great feeling to be, you know, to be not booed. You know, it's one of those things. I guarantee you, every person is like, okay, it's probably back in their mind, like, I don't want to get booed. So then, you know, who wants to get booed on their, you know, one of their best
on the biggest night of your life?
The first professional thing you ever do is get booed. I mean, that's not fun.
So like yeah, who wants that? So, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, we were just, and luckily, you know, I didn't get booed, and it was like cheers, and it was great. It was a cool moment. I'm not gonna lie.
Who was your coach? Who was your coach in the Knicks your first year?
I had Don Chaney and Lenny Wilkins.
Ah.
And then my second year, I had Herb Williams and Larry Brown. So I had 4 coaches in 2 years.
Yeah, the revolving door. The revolving door.
That should kind of tell you about what it was like going on. What I had to go through. It was interesting.
What was it like playing in the Garden? I mean, you know, I can't imagine. I mean, everyone says it's the mecca of basketball. You know, hearing the fans cheer, boo, whatever, the energy, the environment. You know, what was that like playing at MSG?
It was amazing for me, because like, you know, I was this person that I play hard. Like, if I didn't score 10 points, I mean, I'm still gonna get you a couple rebounds. I'm, you know, block some shots. I'm just gonna play hard as I can. And when New York fans, if you give them effort and you work hard, they're gonna love you. But if you go out there, they rather a guy. I mean, don't get me wrong, they want people to score. But like, if you're going out there, and you're just going through the motions and just not giving you all. Oh, they're gonna let you know about it. They're gonna boo you. Because they want you. You know, it's a grit and grind. You know, they want you to grit and grind. And so just because I play hard every night, I had the respect of the fans. I've never gotten booed, so I just try to go out there and just play hard. But just the atmosphere and just, you know, the knowledge of fans. Like, I've had people in the streets come to me sometimes. I'm at dinner like, hey, you know, in the fourth quarter, that rebound, you should have boxed out, or you should have passed, or set a pick. I'm like, wow, how do you remember this stuff? So like,
right. New York, everyone's an expert. That's how.
Yeah, it was definitely passionate. It was a lot of fun though. I mean, I can't lie, it was the funnest play. I mean, obviously, it was a lot going on behind closed doors, but just when you're on that court, I mean, it's nothing, no better feeling than that.
Right, and then tell us about. So then you were traded to the Bulls. What year were you drafted in 2003? What year were you traded?
So the 05-06 season, I got traded to Chicago.
And who were you traded for? Was that the Eddie Curry?
Ah,
yeah, okay.
We got traded for each other because
I mean, they needed someone who's a little bigger than you. They couldn't go with 6'8", 250. They had to go with 7'2", 270.
Yeah. Okay. So we got traded for Eddie Curry. And
what was that like getting traded? I can only, that's like, I can't imagine. Obviously, I've never, fortunately or unfortunately, I've never been traded. But
so you guys get
that happened.
You guys getting all the cool stories tonight. So so what happened was, it was like rumors like the week before that I was gonna get traded to that was rumors for me and Eddie Curry getting traded. So Stephon Marbury and Jamal Crawford, they were really close to me. It was like, man, we don't want you to get traded. Like, we can't have this, man. So we went out to dinner with Isaiah Thomas, and he was like, look, Sweet's got to be here. He's part of our future, man. We just got to get the right system for him. He's our guy. Like, give him time. Or, if you're going to trade one of these other old guys. Don't trade our young guy. And, but I guess, they wanted another center, and Chicago wasn't going to do the deal without me being in it. So that night, Isaiah was like, I'm not trading you. Whatever happens, I'm not trading you. You're part of our future. The next morning, I get a phone call. Like, hey, man, I had to do it. It was my hands are tied. I had to make the deal. I'm like, wow. Like, what was the point of taking me out the deal?
Welcome to the business of the NBA.
Yeah, it was like,
who paid for dinner that night? Who picked up the check?
One of them did. Definitely wasn't me. But
he was going to call the next day, cancel that credit card right away.
Yeah, but it was crazy. It was like, wow, like, it was like like I said, it was one of those things like, welcome to the business. It was like, all right, this is business, this is how it is, and kind of had to deal with it. It was.
I guess that's kind of twofold. So obviously you're traded and you're heartbroken. You got to pick yourself up and you got to move somewhere else. But at the same time, you're desired by someone, right? You're wanted. They're reaching out and they're making a big trade. They're trading. Eddie Curry was a number 1, 2 or 3 top NBA draft pick. So you're traded for him. So how is that coming into Chicago? At least knowing the fact that you're wanted by them. But did that how did that process work out?
It was great. I mean, it was cool in the beginning. It was cool in the beginning. Like, I'll just say this: management and teammates wanted me there, but me and coach, he didn't want me. He didn't want me there at all. He had his vision, but Scott Skiles, and he had his vision on who he wanted to be in my position. It wasn't me. It was somebody that he was very close with, one of his friends. And what he didn't like, when I first got there, I played amazing. So when I got there, we kind of had a couple games, went on a West Coast trip, and I averaged like 20 points and 8 rebounds in like 8 games on the West Coast. So the management was like, yo, we want you here long term. We want to do a contract extension. I was like, look, talk to my agent. Let's get it done. So coach got wind of it. This is no lie. I went from starting to averaging 20 points to on the bench on IR. And
how could management not override the coach? It wasn't like that back in the day where
it wasn't like that. It was like John Paxson was kind of fresh off, playing, and kind of he was one of the new guys in there.
Right.
Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner, he ain't really. I might have saw him once in 2 years. He didn't come.
He was sitting on his 6 rings. He wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was one of those things. They kind of let Scott do his own. Yeah. They kind of let Scott.
How did that work? Emotions. I mean, knowing what you're capable of, right? You're scoring 20 points over a span of 8 games or 10 games, whatever it is, to knowing that you're not playing because of politics, right? Because a coach has visions for someone else to play that position, even though they don't deserve it. Emotionally, how was that? That must have been tough to deal with, especially. What are you, 23 years old at this point? I mean, in that range.
So at that point, I was like, hey, I'm just gonna keep working hard, and so I kind of, I just kept working and stayed ready. And what happened was we ended up it was crazy because we needed a run for the playoffs. Like, I needed a playoff push. Like, we did win our last couple games. So I went from IR to playing one game, had like 16 points. Then they put me back in the starting lineup. So we won out, and we ended up getting like the 7th seed. We had to play against the Miami Heat in the playoffs, first round, when that's we get Shaq. So I went from not playing to have to like guard Shaq in a playoff series. So
Yeah, that's
So it was
no problem.
It was interesting. Yeah, so it was a good series. We gave him a good fight, and so they was like we had an exit meeting. They was like, hey, you'll be part of our team. Let's do this. So I spent my whole summer there, got into the best shape of my life, and Scott Skiles was like, look, you're just not going to play. I don't care what you do. And I was like, whoa. And kind of right there, that just shattered everything. I kind of gave up. I gave up. I'm not going to, I'll be sitting and be honest with you. I'm open, because I'm an open book. I did my last year in NBA, I didn't care about basketball at all. I was just going through the motions. I wasn't working out no more. I was just like, I'm just done. I gave up because I was just defeated.
Right.
It was, obviously.
And the motivation wasn't there because you knew no matter how well you worked out, how great you played, you weren't getting that time.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. I was kind of young and I didn't really understand the business where I should have like kept working and stayed ready because, could have gone to another team at some point when it was over. But I was young thinking and didn't really know, how to handle it professionally. And it broke me down. I just quit.
Right. Did you have anyone that, I mean, like you said on the Knicks, you had Marbury, you had Crawford, veterans to lean on. In Chicago, did you not have those that same brotherhood as far as, people?
No, we did. Yeah, we had a very young team, and we were young. I didn't have no veterans, but we had like a young team. We were all close, and they saw what was going on. But those guys still young. They haven't gotten their big contracts yet. There's not much they can really say or do. So it was one of those things. They saw it, and it was just like, hey, we're here for you, but that much we can, we can really do because we don't have a voice. And that's what he was good at. He was good at putting young players around so he can control. Because a veteran is not going to have all that.
Right. Was Derrick Rose was on that team?
No, he wasn't.
He was later.
Yeah. So it was interesting. I was there with Luau Deng, Ben Gordon was there, Kirk Heinrich. I'm trying to think who else was on that team. I was there with that squad.
Right. Joakim Noah, he was not on that team.
No, he wasn't there yet.
Right.
No. Yeah.
Right. So that's got to be tough. So your career ended with the Bulls. That was your last.
My career ended with the Bulls. Once that year was over, I kind of went back and I was getting married that summer, so I was still working out. I was in good shape, and my agent came to me. He was like, "Hey, Phoenix knows what you can do. We have a deal on the table. Let's explore this." And that's when I kind of told my agent, I said, "Look, I'm quitting basketball." And he was like, "What? What are you talking about? You have a deal on the table. Like, let's do this." I was like, "Look, I'm mentally going through a really, really deep depression. I just need to step away from the game of basketball because I'm in a dark place right now." And I think me taking this deal, obviously I think it's going to end up being a bad situation for anybody because if one more, trigger or anything bad happen, I don't know what's going to happen. So I think I just need to, take a step away from basketball.
So that's actually a very mature decision from someone who, like you mentioned, going through a depression and personal battle like that, to really have that awareness to be like, maybe it's not about money. It's not about, I need to work on myself. That's kind of what you made that big decision at such a young age.
Yeah, it was. It was a decision. Like I said, I knew where I was mentally, and I knew, and I was the person that hit it. Like nobody knew what I was going through. Like she's my wife now, but girlfriend at the time, she saw what I was going through behind closed doors, and she understood it. She was like, "Yeah, you just not fit to go out there because I just wasn't mentally there." And obviously, you guys know when it comes to sports, you can have all the physical tools all you want, but if your mind ain't right.
Right.
It's just it could be a bad mixture.
So probably sorry, go ahead, Jay.
No, I was going to say, so there you are, you're in your young 20s, you make this big decision. What are you thinking at the time you're going to do? I mean, you have your whole life ahead of you in basketball, and this is, everybody goes through this, who gets to the level that you were at. I mean, this has been your whole life since you're a teenager. Like, what are you thinking is next?
At the time I was like, hey, I'm going to take about a year off and get some counseling and get myself together and figure this out. And, 1 year's turned into like 2 to 3 years. And you guys, I'm sure 3 years out of basketball, it's hard to get back.
Right.
It's one of those things. There's always, the next best thing coming in. It's always somebody new. It's only 400 jobs every year, 420 jobs every year. So, I can't even say there's that many jobs because most people are under contract. So it's probably under 100 jobs.
Right. Not many openings every year.
Yeah, it's not many openings. So it's always somebody new coming in and, being 2-3 years out of basketball, and I didn't hang up. If I was one of those guys like an all-star or had a Hall of Fame career, then of course, it'd probably been a lot easier, but I was one of those guys just trying to fit in while I was there anyway. So once I was gone, there was no chance of me getting back.
Right. Did you end up going to Europe and playing it all after that?
So I went to China for a little bit. Went to Uruguay, South America. I went to Puerto Rico. Went to Venezuela. But I'd never done Europe because I was afraid to be being away from home for 9 months. So I was a homebody. So I would only take jobs that I have to be gone like 2 or 3 months out of the year.
Right.
Yeah.
So wow. So that's I mean, it's unbelievable to have, like I said, to have the awareness of something you were going through and really see it through. So fast forward, you get the help you need, and probably the biggest decision you made was to make your girlfriend your wife. So that was probably that was a good one, because obviously I'm sure played an immense role in helping you get yourself to where you wanted to be. So when did you start dreaming of becoming the Ramaz girls basketball coach? Like where does that rank up there as far as dreams as a youngster?
It was right under Georgetown.
Right.
So weirdly, I stumbled upon, not stumbled upon that job, but what happened was I was in Israel with Tamir 2 summers ago. I was in Israel with him doing this basketball camp, just hanging out. I was up there for like 2 weeks with him. And I had just moved to New York. He was like, "Hey,
wait,
man,
you weren't homesick anymore? You went to Israel all of a sudden? You were like,
oh yeah. It was. By the way, it was one of the best places I've ever been in my life.
Agreed.
Yeah, I had an amazing time out there. I didn't want to go home, and so I was out there with Tamir, and he was like, "Hey, since you just moved to New York, his high school coach Harold Katz, son Ellie Katz was the AD over at Ramaz, and he was like, "Hey, Coach Harold Katz's son Ellie, that we all knew, he's over there. Why don't you go over there and join him, and coach?" I was like, "All right, cool." Well, I sit and talk with him and this, that, and that. And he's like, also too, Elliot Steinmetz is at YU, so he made both of those phone calls right then and there. They was like, "Hey, come back to New York. Let's sit down and meet." And it kind of just happened. It was just like it kind of organically just happened. So it was cool. It was a lot of fun though. Say right, so, I wasn't, and I've never coached girls in day.
Right, I was going to say you probably hadn't coached much before and all, but yeah. Would you say you're coaching? So I assume as you worked on your depression and you overcame that was probably a lot of coaching involved in not basketball, but helping other people. And I know you work immensely with a lot of people who are suffering through the same type of thing. Did that help you as you became a coach? And look, it doesn't matter what level of basketball. Players look up to their coach to teach them the game, to give them plays and work everything out. And it's an empty feeling. You're one person and you have to control it. So how did that concept of you all of a sudden getting thrust into something like that, was it easy for you, or was it like, wow, this coaching is not as simple as I thought? Yeah.
Actually, it was easy because I think because I got girls. I always tell people this. I always make jokes to the boys. I was like, girls are kind of easy to coach because, girls, you kind of tell them something first time, they listen to you. Right. You know how it is. Boys, they think they know it all. They got it all.
Mike, it helps when you're 6'8", 260 yeah. Also. I mean, you can tell boys that too. They're going to be like, yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah. So, boys feel like they got it all figured out. But, I had a great group of girls. And like you said, for me, it was like therapy because it was just a good group to be around. They listened. It was a lot of fun just teaching them. And also, too, like you said, you not only just teach them X's and O's, you teach them life lessons also. So, I've had situations where girls are going through personal stuff and they wanted to talk about it. So I was, coach / mentor / friend / wherever I need to be sometimes.
Right. College guidance, everything.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, all that. I had times where girls were trying to get there, trying to be accepted at certain schools and it wasn't going their way. And I seen they were stressing. I was just like, hey, look, let's go out there and have some fun today. You take your mind off, just trying to, keep them going, just trying to figure out, different ways, different personalities. I'm sure
right. Well, you could just tell you have, I mean, I'm sure you haven't been called, you've been called this before. It seems like you're a gentle giant. I mean, you're someone, and Jay and I remember from the Saturn tournament when we were calling it, I'm sorry, with the girls tournament last year at Hafter. Yes. And we said, you were just on the sideline. You were just so calm, so sincere. And you can see that your players looked at you like, yeah, we want to win. We want to play great. But they just they felt that their confidence was coming from you because that was the way. You're not a yeller. You're a teacher, which is something, the kids looked up to. So coaching must have been, like you said, very therapeutic, and it's great. So how did the transition go from Ramaz and then to YU?
It was different. Obviously going from coaching girls, high school girls, to a team that I got lucky. Obviously, got into a situation where they, probably one of the best teams in, Yeshiva, history. So I got lucky going from that to that, where these guys are, on a 30-something game win streak. So, just being a part of that and watching those guys and watching how hard they work and how the team was together. And it was like, obviously, you got guys who are not getting playing time. They wasn't complaining about it. It wasn't this group here, that group here. They were all together. They all wanted to win. They held each other accountable. So it was a lot of fun to be around. It was a great group of guys and funny group of guys too.
Right.
How do you compare it? Obviously it's difficult because Yeshiva has such an interesting history. I mean, it was kind of like a laughing stock school for a long time. And, now the program's turned around. It's a legitimate program. I mean, you have the perspective, you played Division I college basketball. I mean, for one of the
highest
top
level.
schools. Yeah, I mean, at the highest level that you could possibly play college basketball, you were around that. And now being around, this school, which the knock is kind of always, it's Division III. Yeah, it's Division III. I mean, how do you kind of compare what you've seen in both situations?
And I tell people this a lot too. One thing I noticed too, I've been around, NBA and college teams and high school growing up. I've never been around a team like Yeshiva where, everybody liked each other. You know what I'm saying? It was like weird to me. I'll be honest with you. It was like weird, like, wow, they all get along. They all like each other.
And by the way, not all Jews love each other. Just so you know, this is an aberration. This is great, but just so you understand.
Yeah. But, so just being a part of that was like amazing. Like, wow, like, these guys get along. It was just a fun group to be around. So, that was like a huge difference. I've never saw that before. So I was like,
probably has a lot to do with why they're so successful. I mean,
yes, for sure. And that,
camaraderie.
Elliot hates when I say it, but Elliot, because Elliot doesn't like the attention, but he put in a great culture. He kind of put in a culture where, hey, it's about the team, it's not about individual stuff. I'm sure you guys, if you ever watched, like Gabe was one of those players. If Gabe wanted to, Gabe would score 20 points a night easily. But Gabe's one of those guys where, okay, I can get a layup here, but let me get Ofek going. Let me get Ryan going. Let me get Aton going. So he's one of those guys, he want to get everybody else going. I'll get mine. And like having one of your leaders be like that, it carries over. So just the culture is just amazing to be around.
Wow. That's unbelievable. So like you said, and by the way, you didn't do the noise for Gabriel Leifer being mentioned on every episode we've had. His name has not been, has been hit every time.
There it is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're saving him for our 100th episode because we want to see if we can get to 100 times that he's made.
Yeah.
But we saw him in high school. I mean, he's super a kid, super. I mean, he's a man now, married. He's a super player, and like you said, a super individual. So being in the NBA, seeing a player like Ryan Terrell, who we've had on this show, also. Do you think an NBA is a possibility for someone like him, or Euro League or Israel League? I mean, I know he's a talent. He's training with the NBA players and everything, or going to be NBA players. What's his talent level as far as seeing it firsthand, practice and during games?
It's through the roof. He's one of those guys. He's 6'7". He's athletic. He can shoot it. He can handle it. There's nothing that much he can't do. And I think for him, his heart. And I just wrote one of the girls, she played Tierra Ruffin Pratt. She plays for the LA Sparks. And she wrote me because I guess Ryan was out there working out with them. He works out with pros.
Dash.
And she was like,
with his buddy Dash.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Dash and Darrell.
And she wrote me and she was like, yo, this dude Terrell y'all got is a real deal. So like people are really starting, even one of my friends, he's a Nugget Scouts for the Denver Nuggets. And he was like, yo, this dude is a real deal. So like the attention is there and people really starting to take notice. Like, yes, it's Division III, but sometimes talent is talent. And people know that obviously Ryan can be a Division I player, but he's at Yeshiva for his faith and spiritual reasons, which you got to respect. So I think he will get a shot. I don't know. It might be the long way where you have to go to the D League and things like that, or it might be drafted. Who knows? But I definitely think he will get a shot and a fair shot because just from what I'm hearing from, NBA personnel that, this talent, just for me, of course I'm biased. I'm going to say, yes, he's a whatever, right. But hearing other people say what I'm seeing, like, there's a good chance and I'm excited, pretty much, for the community, for somebody, for you to have the first Orthodox guy to be able to be in the NBA. I could be wrong, but
no, you're not. No.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what Amari Cassidy was. So I didn't want to be.
Right. He's not Israeli. He's Israeli.
And Amari Stoudemire is, but wasn't at the time. So I don't know if you're counting that.
Yeah, yeah. So
wait, but by the way, speaking of that, have you how is it seeing all the Jewish rituals firsthand? Is that something that you've inquired about, meaning just to get a better understanding of, or is it You know, is it, are we Amari Stoudemire too, maybe? Or, you know?
No. But I asked, I probably drive Elliot crazy. And all the coaching staff, I asked 1,000,001 questions because it's not questioning it. I want to know like why is it?
Right.
Explain this to me. So like, because
don't ask us any questions. We don't know the answers.
Yeah.
We just do it.
Yeah. So just being around it, I want to know why. I don't want to just be sitting around like, okay, they doing this. I want to know why. And like for me, I respect it so much because the dedication it takes. I'm like, wow, like it's a lot of dedication and a lot of just mental strength you got to have to to do some of those things you guys do. So like for me, I respect it and I love it, and so it's just a lot of fun. It's been a great learning experience.
Right? Do you envision? Do you have aspirations of coaching at a college level, or is coaching? No, you're happy doing what you're doing at YU.
Yeah, So like mainly, happy at YU. I mean, I've had opportunities to go Division I and go back to modern Georgetown and do stuff at NBA level, but like I'm just happy being home with my kids, my family. And just, I'm just having fun right now. Like I'm loving the mental health work I'm doing in the community. So just staying busy. So, but right now, no, I'm not. Yeah, I don't have that. Cause like I said, my kids are still young and I'm going to be part of it.
Where's home? Do you live in the Maryland area now or New York?
I'm in Jersey. I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, just being a part, just being a part of my kids' life every day is amazing. Cause I love, coming home and seeing them every day. Whereas with that lifestyle, man, people don't understand, like you're never home.
Right.
Like you're never home. Like my friend, he's a scout for the Nuggets. He's like, yeah, I'm gone 4 or 5 days out of the week, every day. So like you're never seeing your family. It was obviously you get paid well and it's probably great for the resume, but at my age and with, I've lived that life before. So I'm cool.
So where does Mike Sweetney see himself in 10 years? Honestly, at YU's win streak is 99 by then, or no?
Hopefully there. Hopefully, just still being a great husband and great father, and just my goal is obviously to be one of the biggest mental health advocates there is, and I'm really building something really big right now with it, and there's and I'm loving the grind. So just being able to help others, being there for them mentally, because what I experienced in my life with depression and being suicidal, it's one of those things I know how serious what's going on. So just being able to help. And I tell people this, like me getting a text message saying, thank you, you saved my life, or thank you, you saved my friend's life. Thank you for talking to me. You talked me off the ledge. I get more joy out of that than I did playing basketball. And I kind of felt like my purpose in life, so I kind of felt my purpose and I'm just happy with that.
Are you able, I mean, that's unbelievable. And I know you touched on it a little bit. You're talking about Ramaz, but how much are you able to bring that to basketball? Obviously, it's kind of like the two things that you do. How much of a part of coaching basketball is that for you at this point?
It's definitely both. I mean, like I already said earlier, like it's one of those things. You're your coach, and you could be a mentor. You got to be all that. So sometimes, you see a kid having a rough day. You try to find a way to pick them up, or you try to find a way to tell them. Because a lot obviously now, if you Google it, it's public knowledge that what I went through in life, who I was and what I had to struggle with. So a lot of kids do ask me questions about it. And it's a little awkward, but for me, it's weird. I'd rather for a stranger to ask me than people I got to see every day.
Right. Well, but, it's amazing. You've turned probably one of the biggest negative in your life to, like you said, the biggest positive in your life, which is a lesson for everyone watching and listening. I mean, that's real life stuff, and that's amazing. So, which is unbelievable. So let me ask you a question. Who was the biggest influence in your life growing up and, as your career
my father. My father was the biggest influence. And to this day, I don't understand how he did it. He never missed a practice, never missed a game growing up. My father was the type of person, if I can have 20 points or 0 points, it was just the same amount of love and respect. He would never really, he would give me compliments here and there, but he never would give me a lot of criticism either. He would just try to just be supportive, and he'll let my coaches coach me. And he'll give us input here and there, but he was just a great, father figure, and I learned a lot from him. So I try to use a lot what he did with me growing up to my kids. Maybe I'm a little bit more softer than him because, he was
a different generation. That's why.
Yeah. My kids run all over me, but it's one of those things that I think my father was the biggest, influence in my life. Just watching, honestly, the way he worked. Like my father, worked from 6 a.m. to, sometimes night, sometimes. Like his grind was amazing. So just watching him, I'm like, wow, if he can do this all day, why can this, for basketball reasons, why couldn't I go out there for 2-3 hours and just work hard? So like just watching his work ethic, kind of just carried over in my life.
Wow, that's amazing. And first of all, why number 50? What was the reasoning behind that number?
The first number they gave me when I was playing. It was no reason for it, no sentimental reason for it. It was like when I was playing in the Boys and Girls Club, it was like, here's a jersey, it's number 50, and I just kept it. There's no sentimental reason. It's just weird. I just like, all right, let's keep this jersey forever.
That's usually my best question. I usually get like, oh, because of my brother, because of my this, I had to go backwards, whatever. So they just gave you like the kid. Okay, you look like a 50.
I'm the biggest. I'm the biggest kid. They gave me the biggest number there was, biggest jersey it was, and I just kept it for my life.
Right.
Weird, but hey, that's what happened.
Did you during when you were Ramaz's coach in the I think you were JV and varsity or just the JV girls?
Just the varsity girls.
Varsity girls. So did you see any of the boys Yeshiva League games as far as during the year you were coaching for them?
Yeah, I would help out. I helped out with Ramaz boys a lot. When I could.
Right. Who were some of I don't know if you remember names. Remember any names of like some of the kids in the league that year who stood out for you?
Obviously Spencer Rubenstein. Jojo Valinsky was really good. I love him. One of my favorite players is Jet Wild from Hathor.
Oh, wow.
Because he played so hard. He was like, he reminded me of me in ways. He was like undersized at his position, but he just played hard.
No, he's considered a big Jew. He's not considered.
Yeah, I told him, I saw him at Camp Levy, and I kind of told him, I was like, yo, you were one of my favorite. He probably thought I was lying to him, but I used to love like watching him play. And I played against, when we played against, I just loved it because he just would like, he would play hard.
Right. Yeah. He was a competitor, a great player, and he wanted to win no matter what.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool for these kids to get their names thrown out there by a lottery NBA player. That's pretty cool. I mean, if you're looking to make it, and Mike Sweetney's throwing your name at the games he's impressed with, names that he's impressed with, that's amazing. So wow. That's
but no,
great.
The league was actually. I mean, I loved a lot of the players. I mean, the league wasn't. People made it seem like, because I didn't know what I was saying. It's like, it's just like people like, they were down. Like, this is a regular Jewish league. It's not that many good players. And I go in there, I'm like, these kids didn't play. What are you talking about? And people would, I guess they probably would think that, because this is like people that were involved with the league, like players, like, it's not that much competition. I guess they probably thinking that because I'm coming from an NBA background, I'm already thinking that. I'm like, no, like for me, like basketball is basketball, and like I love watching kids, play hard and compete, and like, kids play hard and compete. So it was like a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, no, it's true. And we've had, and it's also interesting. One of the things you said, which was kind of Tamir also, when we asked him, who was one of his greatest influence, he said his father. And his father and your father sounded very similar. He said that his father, like, never talked to him about the game, just always, wanted to make sure he carried himself right on the court, did the right thing. And it wasn't about the points. If he needed advice, he would ask him and he would help him. But he wasn't an overbearing parent who was like, we got to get these points, we got to get these wins, which, obviously, parents out there have to think about it. Like, let your kids be themselves and really, try to figure out their path themselves. So that's
and let their coaches coach, especially when it's a former lottery pick in the NBA.
Right.
Oh yeah, trust me, I hear it a lot where people tell me what their kids should be doing, not be doing, and sometimes I see it. A kid will be miserable because like they're not having fun, and I've always tell kids, it's like, make sure you're having fun, most important, because like you're playing at this level as a high school, little kids, whatever, this is probably the funnest time of your life. If you're fortunate enough to go to college or go to a professional level anywhere, that's when it comes to business. And I'm not saying it ain't fun, but right now, just have fun.
Then it becomes more of a job.
Yeah, this is a job, but right now, this is like, it should be a time you should be enjoying yourself. Like, it's an extracurricular activity. Like, enjoy it. And I just try to tell kids that because, some of them just take it to a whole other level where it's just like, it's not fun for them. And it should be fun at that age.
Right. That's amazing. So are you involved with Georgetown at all still? Like, do you like help?
I mean, I watch a lot of games. I still talk to Patrick sometimes. Talk to obviously both junior and senior. So I talk to them. Watch a lot of games. I mean, I'm excited for what happened this year. We went from pretty much last place to winning the Big East tournament. So that was huge for the program because everybody was on Patrick's head about not turning the program around, and it was just hard because he's just finally now getting his recruits in. So hopefully, things can go in a good direction. But I'm definitely, I definitely bleed Hoya blue forever.
Right. There you go. Well, listen, Mike, your story, first of all, the way you carry yourself and the way you explain everything, you can see why you've been so successful in life. And we first of all appreciate you coming on the show. I mean, nothing but gracious, and we had a lot of NBA players lined up to do it, but we're happy you're first. So no, but your story is great, and I think just you hit on mental health is so important. You never know what's going on behind closed doors, as you mentioned, and I guess being the expert you are, if you have something, talk to someone to get help to really help your journey and. Your career is it sounds like it just started, by the way. It sounds like your mission is a lot more than basketball. So we appreciate you. And if there's anything you want to say in closing, or you just want to get back to your kids, we understand that as well.
No. I just want to say thank you guys for having me on. For me, I'm always excited when people, want to have me a guest on their show. That's an honor. So thank you for having me guys on, and keep doing your thing.
Thank you. We appreciate it, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Have a great night. Thank you.
All right. You too, guys. Have a good one.
Wow, man, that was special. I mean, I know you and LeBron were trying to work out the night, and we just couldn't.
No, he was supposed to do it tonight, LeBron, but then he said he's rehabbing, whatever. Hold on, yeah, call me later, Bronny. Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's Junior. We get
right. I don't know.
We'll get him on another episode. Okay. All right. Fine.
Yeah, but wow, what an unbelievable person. It's like it's funny before we. Obviously, we do a little research. Our PR department is unbelievable, but you never know what's going to happen when you interview people, right? You get there, and what a story! I mean, his story was, he said, we asked him actually before the episode, we said, anything you don't want to talk about, you do want to talk about. He goes, I'm an open book, and I mean, he was amazing open book. I mean,
what's cool? I mean, we talk about this all the time. Obviously, the level of talent of the Jewish athlete, which is something that this show is really about, has grown. The fact that we're talking about, I mean, if you think about it, we're on episode 9. We have had an NBA player, not a Jew, but then we've had 2 other guests, one of whom is almost definitely going to get drafted in the Major League Baseball draft coming up, and one of whom we've had multiple conversations already as to whether or not he's going to play in the NBA. Don't know if it's going to happen, but these are conversations
right
were not being had even 10 years ago.
And even you heard what he said about Tamir Goodman. I mean, he was the real deal. I mean, the level.
By the way, that was cool to hear from a peer, a true somebody same age,
who went number 9 in the NBA draft. I mean, this is not someone who he knows skill.
Clearly, they're friends. He's gotten him 2 jobs. It sounds like, but it doesn't feel like he's just blowing smoke. I mean, that's high praise. That's the real stuff. And I think that when you think about professional athletes, because we're not that connected to it. It doesn't happen a lot.
I thought you could say because we're not professional athletes. In case anyone wasn't sure.
That too. But you think about like the professional career, and ultimately Mike played 4 professional years of basketball. In his 4th year, he really didn't play all that much. It was kind of the beginning of the end for him, both of his basketball career and the troubles that he went through in life. And he's about my age, and here he is. He's like starting life over.
And he seems so energized about it. He is. It's not, right? I mean, it's like what I was saying. Like, it sounds like his career has just begun, because he said, and it's funny, he never thought he'd be a coach, but his life, for the rest of his life, he's going to be a coach. He's going to be mentoring, helping people with emotional problems, or anyone in life. I mean, he's just someone that you can look up to, physically and spiritually and everything. And he's someone that you can really learn from. And he said he's there to help, and that's what he said. He goes,
and it does feel like he's in a perfect situation right now in terms of, he's able to be around the game of basketball and coach, but he's not at like a D1 type of situation. He has young kids. He wants to be home, and you could tell just by listening to him that being a dad's very important to him. And this is a guy though that the league should be looking at.
Well, he said they have. He doesn't. His
I don't mean as a coach.
Right.
I mean in terms of that type of
an ambassador.
Yeah. Well, as a mentor, to be there for players, and the league tries to do a good job of counseling guys. I mean, you're turning 19-year-old kids into overnight millionaires, and that's not an easy thing to deal with. And hopefully
that's actually like kind of what Coach Pickman said, right? He said a lot of when he was an NBA scout, a lot of his scouting was, how is this person going to handle, the things get a little difficult, but it's beyond basketball, right? That's what Coach Pick said last week. He said he had, had to handle all that. That's a big thing.
And guys like Mike, they're the perfect guys who've been there and can speak to it. And hopefully, great guy, and hopefully he'll be able to sort of use the game of basketball at different levels to kind of spread his mission, which is, clearly mental health, and it's important stuff.
Yeah, and of course the YU program, and it sounds like he is just, happy, and just on his mission to bring good things to this world. And it's great that YU has him, that Ramaz had him as a coach, and he said like people looking up to him. That's something that he runs with now, and that's really keeping him going. And
Elliot's obviously turned that program around, but I'm sure it doesn't hurt having a guy around who's played at the highest level,
right.
who understands the post game of basketball, and
you're like, oh yeah, you know what? I think I'll listen to this guy. He might know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much center Elliot's played in his life, so I think Mike's probably good.
I don't think Elliot ever went inside the 3-point line. He was
right.
Shooter stayed as far away from the 3-point line as possible. So, but wow, what an episode! And this show is just, we are churning. I mean, we have an episode next week coming out with another guest to be named later.
We're not going to say who, but let's just say might be a new recruit.
Yeah, it's big time.
Big names at the highest level of Jewish basketball.
This is
I don't want
going
to say
out.
Too much.
Remember, if you have a story and you see the caliber and the personalities that we've had on, reach out to us. Hit us up at the DMs. What do they need to do, Jay?
I think they slide into the DMs. That's what they do. Yeah.
Yeshiva League Pass on Instagram, right? Check us out. And we will listen to see if it's something that we want to bring to the community. And where can, before we close out with our sponsors, where can everyone catch these episodes?
Well, listen, if you're watching now on YouTube, that's great. But you don't have to watch us, because Ari's face, especially with the sphere beard, is very difficult to look at. So we are on all audio platforms where you can get podcasts. So if you're on YouTube right now, look at the first line of the description. There's a link. That link will take you over to all of our audio links. We're on Anchor, which distributes for us, and then Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the places. And if you happen to just be listening to this and you want to see Ari's ugly sphere beard, head over to YouTube, follow Yeshiva League Pass, and you will find us there. All these videos are video. Did I say all these videos are video? That's ridiculous. All these episodes are videos, we have faces made for radio.
I wasn't listening to you anyway, so
I know. It's late. But we have faces made for radio that we like to bring to the masses. Yeah.
And on that note, who are our big sponsor? We like to thank Trio Academy.
Thanks for Trio. We talked about them at the top of the show, but if you joined us in the middle, we'll tell you again, trio.academy. If you can't spell it, it's TRIO. It's right below us right now. They are offering these incredible programs to get you through college, especially if you're somebody who went to Israel and you're thinking about, how do I get through school quickly? Maybe you're 2 years in Israel, want to maximize that time. Basically, starting at $7,500, you can go get yourself a degree. The average degree costs $15,000. You can do it in a year and a half. Take some courses online, gets you ready for life, gets you ready for grad school. Yeah. We thank them for being the lead sponsor of this episode. And, of course, we can't forget about the Lions Den. I said before the show, it's where you get thrown into a pit of lions. It's actually not true. It's actually, I made that up. And
you come out roaring like a lion with your strength, your athletic ability. Come train at the Lions Den. Check us out for children.
Otherwise known as the Herchk.
The who? The Herchk. Right. The Herchk. That's correct. And let's least but not forgotten, the best basketball academy in the 5 towns. Ballers Basketball Academy coming
4
to you
days
this summer.
And you'll come out ready to play in the NBA.
That's right. August 23rd to 26th. Perhaps Mike Sweetney may be there. He's an NBA player.
Is that true?
That's part of the show. If they, not only do they pay us to come on the show, they also, they pay to come to Ballers Basketball Academy. So,
wow.
Yeah, of course.
Wow.
So yeah, Ballers Basketball Academy, August 23rd, 26th. Going into 1st through 8th grade. Check us out at Hafter, 917-837-8643 for further information and details.
There's no website. There's nothing.
Yeah, it's when you have hundreds of kids already signed up, why invest in a website?
Unbelievable.
That's how it is. But yeah.
Well, now I know how you got Mike Sweetney to be on this show. So cool, got it.
So this was number
Niner.
Yes,
Niner.
Can't wait for our 10-year anniversary
next week. Is,
easy hands.
The big double-digit episode, and then Ari's gonna have to go invest in more hands. That's
exactly. I'll bring up my toes. If anyone's
counting on his feet,
toes,
there it is.
Ooh.
Oh, that's gonna be an audio only episode.
Correct.
All right, that's it for us. It's time for us to cease speaking. Check us out online everywhere: YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Apple. Just listen.
Everywhere.
Right? Just listen.
Everywhere.
There's good information.
AOL,
here, right?
dial up. We're big time. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week for episode 10.
Adios.